Thank you. I want to thank you for throwing Junior in there. My special guest today is my father, Joe Dillard Sr. If I wouldn't acknowledge the senior without the junior, I probably wouldn't have a ride home today. Good morning, Space and Naval Warfare System family. I'm honored to speak before you today. You know, they say a good speech should be like a comet, dazzling and eye-opening, and over before you know it. I don't know how well I can do the first two, so I'm gonna try to get the last one right. The Norfolk NAACP and the Norfolk Naval Station have worked towards the same freedoms for decades, and we have accomplished a lot. Together, we have provided disadvantaged, hard-working families a chance at economic stability. We have introduced real opportunities to our at-risk youth. We set an example and helped make Norfolk the city it is today. I couldn't be more proud of that city, but it's important we remember the road we took here was not paved before we made that journey. And that's why we're here today. We're here to acknowledge the men and women who paved the way for this city in the face of racial tension and national attention. I want to focus on those men and women for a moment. I want to highlight how they have made Norfolk the greatest city in the country. In the fall of 1958, when Governor Allen ordered Granby, Norview, Maury, Northside, and other Norfolk public schools to close rather than comply with national desegregation laws, those men and women did not waver. Those men and women stood taller, and on February 2nd, 1959, Norfolk trumped massive resistant state laws and sent 17 black children to previously all-white schools. They sped at those kids, they threw rocks at them, and it went on for months. But those students went to school every day, and they changed our city. They touched our lives. Even before them, we saw brave men and women fight to protect our country's freedom and serve to protect our country's humility. In February of 1840, a slave named William Carney was born right here in Norfolk, Virginia. His bravery led him to escape to Massachusetts with his father and eventually purchased his own whole family's freedom. But William did not stop there. William went on to serve as sergeant with the 54th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry. Slave owners had beat William. They hurt his family, and it went on for most of his childhood. But on July 18th, 1863, William saved the American flag during an assault on Fort Bragg, despite being wounded several times, and became the first African-American awarded the Medal of Honor. William told his comrades he only did his duty. The flag never touched the ground. Being 25 years old, my generation we have seen the most disrespect to the American flag. So that really touched me, because I've seen Lil Wayne in videos drop the flags and they hit the ground. This man put his life on the line, and he said the flag was never to touch the ground, and that was his duty. So when we talk about today's history, I want to hit home for a lot of you guys. Let's speak of Vice Admiral Michelle Howard. She took command of the USS Rushmore on March 12, 1999, becoming the first African-American woman to command a ship in the U.S. Navy. From August 2012 to July 2013, Vice Admiral Howard served as Deputy Commander for the U.S. Fleet Forces Command, which is headquartered here in Norfolk, Virginia. On December 20th, 2013, U.S. Senators confirmed Vice Admiral Michelle Howard for the service #2 post, making her the first female admiral in the Navy's 238-year history. Her promotion to Vice Chief of Naval Operations, expected for later this year, will also make her the first African-American woman to attain a 4-star rank in Pentagon history. Just to add, on February 1st, 2013, Howard was honored with the Chairman's Award at the 44th NAACP Image Awards. That's what this month is about, our history as Americans. I was with my youngest brother, Jake Dillard, this past weekend. Jake graduates from Granby High School in a few months. And if you go into his room right now, you'll see a poster of a Navy officer on his door and a junior ROTC uniform in his closet. Now, he does not have a poster of Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, but it's leaders like those men in the NAACP that made it possible for Jake to enroll in the junior ROTC and possible for him to become a Marine. Then there's Josh Dillard. Josh Dillard is my other brother, and he'll be graduating Howard University in the spring with a degree in economics. If you go into Josh's home right now, to be honest, I don't know what you'll find in Josh's home. Josh, I don't know, you guys know the college terms, he lives in a frat house. So when you open Josh's door, you'll be kicking beer bottles out the way to see if it's carpet or wood on the floor. But you probably won't find the same poster as Jake. However, it's officers like General Oliver Howard, who founded Howard University, who made it possible for some of our disadvantaged black youth to attend college, made it possible for Josh to become an attorney next fall. There are countless stories of lives that have been affected and leaders in our U.S. Armed Forces and leaders in the NAACP. Most of us wouldn't stand here if it wasn't for our predecessors and the sacrifices they made. And that's what this month is all about. As we journey through February, I challenge you all to remember the sacrifices of our forefathers and of all our predecessors. Our country needs the values they showed us. We need you to continue modeling the courage it takes to be greater than the ills around us. And, most of all, we need to provide each generation a better Norfolk than the generation before them. We are all part of a legacy that is still being written. A. Philip Randolph once said, "Men often hate each other because they fear each other. They fear each other because they do not know each other. They do not know each other because they cannot communicate. And they cannot communicate because they are separated." We are no longer separated, Norfolk. Thanks to the courageous efforts like people of the Norfolk 17, the Norfolk Naval Station Norfolk, and the city of Norfolk, we are one. And as one, I want to applaud you for upholding the legacy every day. And I want to wish all of you a happy Black History Month. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lewis. At this time, we will have closing remarks from our commander, Commander Tower.
All right, thank you for the opportunity to come up today. And as I listened to your speech, Mr. Dillard, it made me think of a couple things. And first is, those of you that came to the Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration, I said a few things there, and I'll say a little bit about that again. I think you have to take the opportunity to get to know people regardless of color, nationality, ethnicity, whatever. There's so much to learn about the people that you serve within the Navy, and this month celebration for Black History Month is important. And Mr. Dillard brought up a couple names, and I'd like to add a couple too. If you haven't had an opportunity to read some of the namesakes for ships, take an opportunity to read about the USS Pinckney and what Mr. Pinckney did and why he's a hero and why the ship is named after him. Also, Admiral Reason, I commissioned the USS Roosevelt DDG-80 and had the pleasure of meeting him. He is one of the finest men I ever had the pleasure of speaking to. So Admiral Reason and Mr. Pinckney are two guys worth looking into. And I also served with Admiral Howard on one of her staff. So take an opportunity to get to know these people. They bring a lot to our organization and a lot to Black History Month, and I think it should be celebrated. So thank you for the opportunity. And always remember, in the end, we're all sailors, regardless of skin color, ethnicity, background. And that's the one thing that has kept me in the Navy and kept me serving is the caliber of people that I work with. And it doesn't matter where they come from, whether it's being an Alabama fan or a Notre Dame fan. We all serve together, and it's always a pleasure to serve with you guys. And I appreciate the opportunity to come up and speak. And sir, thank you for your time and coming up here and giving your remarks. Well received. And so I'd like to thank all of the diversity group that put the effort together, LS1, Chief Milo, LS1 Campbell. Thank you. But on behalf of the command, sir, we'd like to present you with a coin.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your words. And thank you, too, sir, for your words and spending time with us. And as I look out here, I see that it's not a whole lot of numbers here. But those who did come and did participate, I appreciate your support. I know that in life there is always humble beginnings. And here, this was a humble beginning for us. But for some of you, we need to embrace each other regardless of how we come from, where we at, or who we are. And like the commander mentioned, that makes us better. The difference among us, the diversity, that makes us stronger. So again, Mr. Joe Dillard, appreciate it. Man, you had a good conversation down below. CMC, thank you for showing up. Commander, again, thank you for giving us the support. And every sailor in here, and every civilian that showed up, I do personally appreciate it. And Master Chief has something for you afterwards. No, I'm just kidding. All right, this concludes our ceremony at this time. We have some refreshments in the back. I thank you again for coming.